Okay, now I think we're ready. This presentation, as usual, of meeting number 14, the slides will be sent to you or we'll put a link in the chat. If you keep peeking there, I'll let you know when it's up. Quinn will tell me. And but me, so that allows you just to relax and kind of think of questions you have. I take questions as I go through these. I think I have plenty of time to finish in a very reasonable amount of time, so I'm not worried about that. So feel free to ask me questions that you want to ask, because I'm covering some areas where there are generally lots of questions and not things generally that are covered anywhere else. I think you'll find that out today more than most times. While you're waiting, I love this slide. While you're waiting for the college admissions decisions to come in or for a decision you have to make. That said, so far, only one person has decided on their school. That's right on time. Usually 2 or 3 to decide early because it meets all the criteria. But most of you are going to be waiting. Try not to be stressed. Students in this program nearly always end up where they will grow and prosper. Parents, remember, at the end of the day, it's the student, not we parents, who are actually attending the college. Students, remember, it's your parents that will pay for college, even if you're fully covered or nearly fully covered for all direct costs. Check your portals and email twice a day, students, for the next month, maybe 3 weeks, about twice a day, because this is the month where you're going to hear from your schools that you're waiting on. And there may be schools that earlier let people know, but everybody will sometime this month, especially the most selective California state universities or the most selective, and certainly the UCs.
On this way?
Is there a question? Let me see, was that one I need?
Oh.
I need to close that.
No.
Going down here. Okay, got that muted out. Okay, so check regularly, especially your CSUs. This time of year is where you're going to hear from the schools. Some of you had all your schools were selective, so you haven't heard from anybody. Others, there were other issues that make you not have heard, but you're going to start hearing. Hearing about acceptances or rejections. Look for scholarships that will cover the indirect costs. Notice I have the word indirect there. I'm going to explain that as we go through the presentation. I thought I'd start off with, will scholarships help me? And this is not exactly what I covered. I did a whole session on scholarships. If you want, email me, I'll send you the link to the session. It's on my YouTube channel. You want to remember, I do have a YouTube channel. You probably should subscribe there. And you probably should click so you'll see the notifications right through here if you can't make our sessions. Will scholarships help? Yes. But it's highly unlikely the scholarships or sponsorship will cover a part. It's highly likely that will cover part of the indirect costs. Sometimes you might get all indirect costs are costs of college that are not on the bill. So their costs of going to college that will not be on the bill. That's usually what scholarships cover. The heavy lifting and all that will be the financial aid and the grants from the college. A lot of you feel that's not true, that you'll be able to use some of that money. But actually, that money is coming to your student in the fall after they've started school. Nearly all scholarship programs will wait till a student is attending a school to give them money because of the possibility they may not start school. And it's probably not true with our kids, but there are a lot of kids that get the scholarship, used to get the scholarship money, and then don't show up to the school. The direct cost is the tuition plus the room and board. And that's 80 to 85% of the total cost. And it's a fixed cost and it's on the bill. So 80 to 85% of the cost of college, total cost of college, sometimes 90%, by the way, is the fixed cost, tuition, room, and board. That's where all your real costs are. Indirect costs is books and supplies, personal expenses. I told you I'd go over this. Orientation usually has a cost. It's a controllable expense and it's not on the bill. These are very controllable expenses and they're not on the bill. Now, if you're registering for classes on time, chances are you'll be able to get your books very inexpensively. If you're registering late or fall behind, then it's going to be more expensive. Personal expenses are absolutely controllable. I'll spend a whole lot of time talking about that. Probably in June, I talk a lot about going away to school and saving indirect costs. That's a big topic for me usually. Okay, let me hide those controls. Okay, continuing on here now. It's a good time to think about the scholarships and sponsorships. So, the West Angeles Sponsorship Fund organization has a scholarship for those that are members of West Angeles. We'll launch in April as normal. Watch your email closely and watch our stream church services. I'll get to non-members in a minute. The deadline will probably be the end of May, although I'm thinking about making it the end of June. We'll talk about that when the time comes. However, the Gwen Thomas sponsorship is a sponsorship that's specifically for non-members. So I have people who are in my program who are not members of West Angeles. Unfortunately, you need to have a GPA of 3.5. We may have some funds for students of lower GPAs, but that money has to be donated during this period. We'll see about that. I'm hitting up requesters right now for that. But if you're active in the program, you'll have a chance to do that. I call those attendance merit awards. We had a learn and earn program at one time. We might consider that again, but these awards will be awarded at the final ceremony. So people who are attending regularly, I see a lot of you in here today, and I would say regularly for me will be up to this time, but also from here on out, if your student can attend our sessions, we want them to have an incentive to be here. We will give out some fairly okay scholarships called attendance merit awards to students that show up in these sessions, because we're covering very valuable things from here forward that will help a student to finish college on time and not take a long time. That's the value of these sessions. College scholarship types, I'll just hit that for a minute. We're not going to do the whole scholarship presentation. We're talking about third-party scholarships, which are free money given by organizations directly to the college for indirect costs. Well, it could be some direct costs as well, but sometimes they're indirect costs because by that time you paid for everything and you end up just getting a refund from the school. Okay. Colleges require that financial aid office be notified if a scholarship is awarded to a student. Now you might wonder, well, what was the sponsorship thing I had about? Well, a lot of scholarships are in fact sponsors. We don't give scholarships at West A. We give sponsorships. A sponsorship is when a bunch of people get together, put money together, and decide to give it to certain people with rules. In the state of California, that's called a sponsorship. Sponsorships are not scholarships. They have the same effect, but they're not scholarships. Therefore, when we give out our sponsorships, we don't expect to write the check directly to the school. In fact, if you want us to pay the school, you have to give it to us in writing at that point, because we're going to give it to the student and or the parent, depending on how they want to work it. We do ours. So those become sponsorships. But financial aid offices feel that you still could be given money that's called a scholarship, and you'll have to notify the financial aid office. In fact, it turns up it's on the FOFSA of the next year, though it doesn't have any effect at all financially on the amount of the award, but they ask you about scholarships there too. Usually the check is written out to the college when it's a scholarship. Nearly always, colleges first apply the scholarship to the student direct loans, which are $5,500 the first year. Remember, every college will offer one-year students a $5,500 direct loan. That's where they'll apply your scholarships first. If you get above $5,500, then theoretically, you could get a refund. I've seen that sometimes. California private colleges, after the loans, the scholarships are applied to lower the Cal Grant before going to the student. So in private schools, it's very rare to get that refund. Magically, there is nothing left for the student. California state law requires that the Cal Grant be reduced by any other scholarship funds. This is why you want colleges, you want to get a clear understanding from the scholarship that you're applying to, whether the check is written out to you or the school, just how is that handled? Okay. How about our viewpoint on scholarships? The highest third-party scholarships are awarded to students who need it the least usually. High GPAs of 3.8 plus and high SAT scores and ACT scores are usually the people that are getting those third-party awards. Now, I will say this year I'm seeing more scholarships for lower GPA students and lower income students, higher income students. I'm seeing that trend reversing. Need-based that's why you got to read about the scholarships and their requirements and who they're awarding to. Need-based is the second highest category of scholarship I'm seeing. Then comes the 45,000 or less. There's some that will not award it to you unless you have a Pell Grant. I mean, unless you have a lot of financial need, they're not going to award to you. Here's some of the biggest mistakes that I have seen anyway with scholarship applications. Very general recommendation letters, to whom it may concern. I have students that will call me and say, write me a scholarship recommendation, and I will. And then they'll say, just when the next one comes up, could you just write the same letter to the next people? Nope. I'm going to customize that letter to match that scholarship. It's a different scholarship. And that's why a lot of people who I recommend get scholarships, I bet you, because I tailor it to the scholarship. I look for what they're looking for. Sometimes I call the scholarship committee and say, hey, I'm a recommender, and they never hear from recommenders. Don't you think they'll remember your child's recommendation, parents, if when I write it, if I've talked to them already? Somebody said, that's cheating, Deacon. You cheat for your students. And to that I say, and your point? So, I mean, you're in my program. Of course, I'm going to help it any way I can. And sometimes I have scholarship providers that know me and want to know. They call me and ask me, did any of your students apply for the scholarship? Because our program is well thought of, and that's very humbling for me as the director to know that. Also, to whom it may concern, some people say, just write me one letter, I'll use it in every scholarship. Very smart people. I'm on scholarship committees a lot, not recently though. I've been on a lot of scholarship committees. When I would get a letter to whom it may concern, I wasn't very impressed, because I feel like everybody's getting the same letter, to whom it may concern. It should be a customized letter, folks. You should have your recommender should want to write it that way too. I know a lot of you have a lot of to whom it may concern letters that in your portfolio, whatever. Some of the scholarship committees will, they'll read them, you know, but I think a lot of these scholarships are leading students to tell them, letting them know that, hey, we want to see a copy of your letter and all that. You can put the recommendation letter in the application and all that. I like them to go, I like to share my letters with my students, but I don't think I like putting, you know, having it, having some scholarship committee acting like they're not going to rate you lower, you know, if your letters to whom it may concern. Applying for scholarships due to the amount, but no regard for if the student meets the qualifications. Remember, these are the biggest mistakes. And I think that's a mistake. I think you should apply for scholarships where you know you meet the qualifications. Like if a scholarship says we're only going to award people who get Pell Grants, need-based, and your parents make, you know, 80, 90, 100, $200,000, you're not going to get that scholarship. You're just not going to get it if they ask for the FOSSA records. They usually do. Late applications is a big problem. Missed email, when they email you and make an adjustment to what they want from you and you miss that email. These are some of the biggest mistakes I've seen with scholarship applications. Give you some ideas for third-party sources: parents' job, fraternities, utilities. You see the list there. That's a good list for you to start with. This is data from the last 6 years students. I just took a snapshot of the most highest, the top 10 or so, where I've seen people getting scholarships that they can apply to, okay? How to find scholarships. We're not a scholarship search organization at all. Although, now I've said that, go to our scholarship page, and these scholarships that I find, there were 2 good ones that came in Friday, they'll end up on my webpage. Go to our website and go to our scholarships page, and you can look up our scholarships. You can find out what's going on there. We're not a scholarship search organization. By the way, I would not pay to be in a scholarship search organization. That's one of the biggest ripoffs. That's one of the 2 biggest college ripoffs, organizations that promise you scholarships. I'd make my own way, students. I'd spend about 15, 20 minutes a week, you can accomplish the same thing. And parents, you need to probably, if you're those parents who are here and your students are not here, I want to challenge you parents to challenge your students to look for scholarships. And you might tell them where I pick for your school or where I send you or what I do for you when you go away to college, you want that new computer or whatever, is going to depend a lot on whether you look for scholarships. You need to push them on that way, maybe. Even though I know the scholarships won't help pay the bill, it sure will take the pressure off your spending money, parents, the extra money you're providing for college. Check the sources, ask your parents, use Google. Yep, the list changes every time you search. Search for college scholarships 2022, college scholarships, company scholarships, just search different ways. You should search 2 or 3 times a week. It only takes about 15 to 20 minutes each night, maybe 15 minutes at most. Start making a list of and start saving those sites. Bookmark those sites that have scholarships. Only apply when you meet the that's so important. Don't waste your time with scholarships where you don't meet the requirements. Print out and read all forms and directions. Read them very carefully. Watch the due dates. Okay? All right. Any questions on that? That pretty much wraps up what I wanted to say new about scholarships. Some of that I said before, but there are a few new things in there. All right. That's something good you can do while you're waiting. We're talking about what to do while waiting. What are the 3 possibilities for the admission decision? Yes, you're admitted. No, you're rejected or you're denied admission. 3, you're told to wait. I'm going to cover all those. The decision, in any event, you have to make your decision by May 1st. If you're admitted, you have to decide by May 1st. You might think on the wait list, you have to decide. No, we'll get to the wait list in a minute. If you're admitted, you have to decide by May 1st. This is a very important part of my presentation today, because coming out of this week is when you're going to start. It's when you're going to start. Just a minute, everyone. Just a minute. Hang on one second, everybody. Okay. Yes, no, and wait are going to be your decision points. Yes, no, wait. And you want to decide by May 1st on the yes. And I was explaining that on no and wait list, there's something else that goes on there. Okay, we'll cover each of those. That's really what this meeting is all about. What does admitted mean? For all schools, admitted means that by May 1st, you must deposit for admission to hold your spot. Now, here we go. Every year I get the question, what if we can't decide? What if it's 3, can I deposit? Somebody's going to ask me this year again, can I deposit to multiple schools? Well, since you said, can I, I'm going to say it's a free country. You can do whatever you want, but that's a deposit you'll never get back. And I always say, how far will you go? Will you also deposit for housing and the orientation at every school? Because they're equally important. So no, I think you ought to pick one school by May 1st. If you didn't get the visit, you didn't get the visit. And you're going to pick the one you visited. I really think that admitted means you have to make that decision by May 1st. Now, I expect a lot of schools will not. And schools will tell you sometimes, okay, we'll extend you, give you another week. But they can't speak for other schools, can they? And they're hoping that you wait for them so that if one of the things you're waiting for is to get more money, they don't have to give you more money because it's after the 1st. A lot of people will wait hoping to get more money. That's not the way you get more money. That's not the way you do it. I'll do a separate video on that this week. I don't think I've ever done that, but it's been about 4 years since I did it. I'll do a video on, can I get more money and how do I look for more? How do I get the schools to agree? I will do a video on that, but it's not going to be waiting past May 1st. That's for sure. You lose all your leverage. CSU accepting admission will allow you to get housing information, okay? And it's not binding until you make the deposit. In other words, what happens at CSU and other schools, you can get the housing information, but until you make that deposit for housing, you don't have housing. Okay? You just don't have housing in those cases. I got muted. Okay? Of course, CSU A lot of you will ask, they'll say, well, a lot of you have seen that there's conditional admission. Let me back up for a minute. How many of you, either you or if you're the youth or your child or your student, excuse me, your child, your student, you've already received, put a hand up, like click for a hand up, if you've already received an admission from CSU? Even if it's CSU you don't want, even if it's one you don't want. Okay. I really want the others to see those hands. Anybody else? Brother Bernard, your hand should be up. Your hand should be up because your son did receive admission from the CSU. I think 4, right? Let me see if I can't. He got dropped maybe. Okay, I think Brother Brian will be a hand up. Who else is here? From a CSU. All right, so yeah, this is all, there you go. So it's all, this is quite relevant to you. You might have noticed, therefore, let me go back to my share. It's very good. Thank you all very much. You can put those down if you want. Therefore, it's very relevant. Okay. Therefore, you've noticed the wording conditional admission. The admission is conditional. What that means is if they don't get any D's or F's in A through G classes that are needed for CSU in the last semester, and the cumulative GPA doesn't reduce from what it is now. And that's the same thing that happens with UC. They just don't say conditional. So really all admissions are conditional if you think about it that way. And it's a reminder to keep your grades up. The next step is enrollment after you've been admitted. That includes deposit for housing, registration for orientation, and registration for classes. Those are all enrollment matters. And we'll spend more time on those, once we get past the first or closer to the first. We'll start talking about housing and registering for classes, how to register, what classes you should take, etc. What does rejection mean? It means that you were not accepted to the freshman class of that school. A student can ask about appeal, which some think will be more effective this year, since students' attendance patterns will be changed by families' response to CV-19. Well, you could ask about an appeal, but generally, let me see if I said that here. However, as with any appeal in society, like when you appeal a court case, you appeal any kind of decision, waitlisted students will be reviewed first if there's a wait list, right? So you get behind the waitlist students if you were rejected. Students who can prove that there was something, well, see, all this goes out, this is the key bullet. I should have put this bullet first, because the students can prove there's something wrong, they'll accelerate to the front of this. And I've seen when they're wrong, but hey, look, there's something wrong. Here's my transcript. Here's what really happened. I've seen schools move them right to the front before the wait list and just admit them. When there's something that can be proven wrong, that's not a normal appeal. Most appeal questions I get about appeals are when people are saying they didn't get in and the application was right, everything was right, the grades are right, the transcript's right, they just really want to go to the school. That appeal will be summarily rejected. Other appeal students will not get grant aid. Yeah, say that's another problem with appeals. If they pivot to you a month later and you get in, that there's no money left, right? The budget's expended on other students who've come into the school. So I generally feel if you were not accepted, it's one of those life things. You need to accept that you were not accepted. That's an adult thing. That's your first, okay, there are a lot of firsts for your adult life students. One of them is you can't go always to the school you want. And the other one is you might be good enough, but be rejected. Every adult in here can tell you they've had that experience. I've had the experience for grants that we've submitted, and they were great grants, but we were rejected for the grant. And I asked them why we were rejected. They said there were just, we had too many of them to come in. Now that's when they're trying to be nice to you and they really won't want to say it wasn't good enough. There were appeals that were better than you. And sometimes in life, that's a very difficult thing to accept. But parents, it's a very important part unfortunately, of growing up, of accepting rejection, of accepting loss. Boy, and we know it as parents. We know it so well and that accepting that is very difficult, but it's a necessary part of growth. This is the one view graph I hate the most, you could probably tell. What does waitlist mean? Probably the second most, when I hate the second most. The college or university believes a student, let me close this up here, I have something in the way, believes a student can succeed on campus, but the campus does not have the budget or resources to offer admission, which means they don't have space. Some schools will place some of these students, those are the two sums. Some schools will place some of these students, usually a small number, on a wait list. Many times, using the first 30, 45 days after May 1st, the colleges will return to the wait list. Funding will be greatly reduced when they return. You understand that? And you can see my website for more. See their website. Usually the school's website will tell you how they handle waitlist students. Now, let me tell you what I think about waitlists. Do I do it here? No. Okay. I don't do it here, so I got to do it here. Okay. I feel you should treat a waitlist like a rejection, and you should go and accept admission to another school. And that way, if the waitlist school doesn't accept you, you're not stuck. In fact, a good waitlist letter will tell you to accept admission to other schools, and they'll understand if you pivot back later. Okay? But that's what waitlist means. It doesn't mean you're going to get in. And this year I saw something creative. Shout out to one of the students here who told me about it. I saw something creative. One school did, I think it was a CSU, that said, look, we'll get back to you March 15th. We've just been a little stuck reviewing, or they're telling you in so many words, looks like you might have a chance, but we don't want to promise you. That's a little different than waitlist. That I'm not sure what it means, but it's not the same as waitlist. Waitlist means that the default condition is that you won't get in. They only come back if they have a space. Whereas the first thing I just told you means there's space, but they got to figure out how to offer it to you. Maybe they want you to change your major or do something. Who knows? That person who's here now knows that that's kind of the way I answered that. Is there anything on my chat there? I think it's Quinn that's here, or even Bailey. Anything in the chat that we need to answer? No? Nothing in the chat?
Yes. Liam and Zion both commented.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead. Let's
Liam asked, what is the likelihood of actually getting scholarship from Nitro, for example, that doesn't ask for an essay?
From Nitro? From who? From who?
NITRO.
Oh, I don't know about Nitro. We have to share offline. I love those kind of questions. I love to evaluate scholarship possibilities, but I don't know who Nitro is. You got me on that one. Is the second name Glycerin? That was a joke. Let's go to the next comment.
Is it possible to lose your spot even if you commit before May 1st?
If you commit before May 1st, you can never lose your spot.
Zion commented about Nitro. He says Nitro has put up a lot of no essay scholarships for reference.
Well, I think I understand this question now. I think no essay scholarships still have requirements. So read the requirements. If you meet the requirements, definitely apply. It just means you'll have less work. In fact, I'm going to tell you something unusual there, Zion. I think there are too many scholarships to have essays, given the amount of money they're giving you. If I'm only going to give away $500 or $400, why do we have scholarships? Why do we have essays? I feel like with an essay, there should be at least $1,000 in there. That's just me, though. Okay, if I was running a scholarship, well, I am running one. That's why we don't ask for a lot of essay stuff. We're going to give you $1,000, maybe a little more. We don't think we need an essay. So I think so, Zion. Anybody, something else there, Quinn?
No, he just says I applied for the 3K no essay scholarship.
I would. And whoever runs that scholarship, I just gave them a high five, okay? Because that's what I think they should be doing, these scholarship providers. I see you're working very hard on scholarships this year, Zion. I think that's a good idea. I have a couple of you here that are doing that. Anybody else? We'll go on to the next slide if not. Okay. Just watch me on those questions there, Quinn. What do I do if I get into the college, if I do not get into the college I want? So I've been rejected. What do I do? And this view graph is one that's necessary. Well, you take some time to work through it, but life needs to go on. I tell the story of this young man named Joe Lewis. Shout out to Joe Lewis. I've seen him on, he's a great professional. He's making about $180,000 a year now, 7 years out of college. He's unbelievable. His mother worked on the staff, is a good friend of mine. He wanted to go to GW really, really bad. But his grades were not good enough and he didn't get in GW. And he dreamed about, this is when I was way back about 18 to 20 years ago when I was working, doing what I'm doing now. Can you believe that? And Joe Lewis was like so upset. He was like, oh, he was shattered. And then he said, all right, what do I do now? It's like he shook himself. Life needs to go on. Joe Lewis went on and has had such a great college life, and he did so well in everything he's done. So, you know what I don't even remember now, to show you how things go? I don't even remember where he went to college right now. I'd have to cheat and look something up to know. But he went on and got about his life. Review the other schools to which you are or will be accepted. Don't let the disappointment of that first one take you off track on the other schools. You need to start remembering you have other schools you need to watch for email for and do the things you normally do. It's a good time to think about your career, what you want to do with your life, right? Not so much the school. It's a good time to understand that success in life is often 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. You get to those spots in your life. And we all of us adults know that. You have these spots in life where you're going to go forward 3 steps, but back 2, you still made progress. Sometimes back 1, right? But you're making progress that way. Life isn't just success, 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 success. Oh, little failure, success, success, success. It's usually going to be hard fought early in your life because you're learning things. You're learning about yourself. What about a 2-year college? Remember, there are 2 uses for 2-year colleges. Credit recovery or enhancement for 4-year college. You should have a favorite 2-year college that'll take you through 4-year college. Start this summer. We're offering for credit courses online this summer. It's an alternative to the first year or 2 years of college. You can do 2-year college and save a lot of money. Trade Tech College is a great college to teach. It's mentorship and job oriented. You might get a school like that. You might think about, as I talked about I talked about 2 weeks ago, using 2-year college to develop your career skills while you're in college. El Camino is another one, has Project Success. It's a program that's 92% successful with taking students to 4-year college after 2 years in Project Success at El Camino. I want to talk a little bit about race issues in college. I want to talk about hoaxes first. I have a great video. I won't talk about it much today, but I have a video about hoaxes and race in college. I hope you saw that video. It's on my channel. If I had more time, I would talk about it today. I'm just going to mention it today and talk about these cases and make the point I'm going to make. There's a lot of racial incidents that you hear about that didn't really happen. I'm going to say on campus, but you know about that in life. I mean, we had the one actor from Empire, Jussie Smollett, who said that he was racially attacked, and had some of the most important Black people in this country believed him and believed it was a racist attack, and only to find out that it seems like he set it up and faked it. And you had the situation where the race car driver said that there were nooses hung in his place, but it wasn't. It was the pulleys on a NASCAR, and he had the FBI investigating it. Sometimes these racial incidents didn't really happen. And there's a whole bunch of, there's over 50, by the way. If you go to, what's the website? Here is 50 racial hoaxes, thecollegefix.com. Actually, it's more than that now. It's about 70 now. I think about every week I hear about one, and they're not even reporting them in the media anymore. I had students in my program that were participating in a hoax and got nearly thrown out of their school, and I had to intervene for them and save their spots in school. I think the fact that we have racial hoaxes probably is a proof that we don't have a lot of racism anymore. You might have a lot of white people that are racially insensitive, doesn't mean they're racist. I have a lot of black people that don't like white people. So I'm not sure what to think about that. Um, there's some great links here you might want to look at about this. My video about hoaxes is out there. You might want to look at that too. I guess I just don't want you to think from those hoaxes that were found out that race is a very big factor in your college decision. It should not be a major factor. I mean, I know there's a lot of race stuff in the news and the media, but that's just it. It's just the media. The media tends to blow things up. I mean, of course, I think even if you're going to HBCU, you could have people in the town that might do things that you might feel are racist. I don't know. The question is not whether they're racist from a Black student standpoint and parents. The question should not be, are there racists in the United States? The question we should be, to me as an education enrichment director, to do my job right, the question is, can you overcome it? Is even a factor? And I say it can't stop a properly motivated student, a student that's informed, a student has a right bearing and a right self-image. It can't stop you at all if it exists. But there are a lot of hoaxy things going on there. One school I was at had a Martin Luther King float, and apparently the float was damaged. And it was thought to be somebody racist did it, but the videotape showed that it was some people who built the float, and one of them was a student in my group, from my program. So we really need to be careful about this. Is there racism? Are there racist white people? Probably. But I don't think it will stop you in college, nor should it affect your decision. Let's go through these view graphs here. Dumb and evil racial pranks, videos, and statements by whites occur on a low level on many campuses. I hear about these things maybe once a year. Some are never investigated, but assumed to be true, always assumed to be true. Some are investigated and proven, I would say most. And most nearly every time when they are found to be true, remember I told you some are hoaxes. When they're found to be true, there is serious disciplinary action taken on these white folks. I mean, really serious action. It's stuff that will affect them for a lot of years in their lives. Campuses come down very hard on racist actions that are proven and racist things that are done that are proven. The few times they are proven, they have destroyed people on that. What I do is when I hear about these incidents, and they're not occurring as much at all now. 2 years ago, they were happening more. I always look at what happens to the white perpetrators of racist acts on campus. And that's what I look at. What did they do? What did the school do about it? And colleges are swift and powerful to deal with this. And many have programs on campus that do additional things that help my students. They have programs that help make the transition of Black students to campus easier. There's usually a lot of money spent on that. Educate Black and white students on the issues of race. And some colleges even provide segregated Black spaces and places where students can share their experiences. By the way, I don't like segregated Black spaces. I know schools have them. I'm not going to sit out here and tell them and get all mad, but I don't prefer them. I want to see, here's what I think. I think going to a majority white school, again, if you're going to Black school, I get that. That's no problem. If you're going to a majority white school, right? I think that trying to avoid white people and stay separate from them is not a good idea. It's like taking a shower in a raincoat. I think one reason that you should celebrate being in a predominantly white school is show you bad and you Black. You a bad somebody. You ain't worried about nobody. In fact, a lot of white folks have never been around Black folks. They need to learn how Black America should really be regarded, that we're not like we are in the media. My Black males, I don't want my Black males to feel some white person follows Nas X or somebody, thinks that all black males are like that. You're out there reversing that stuff, that crazy stuff. I think that it's a good thing to shine your light and be with them and be involved in activities they're in. We got to stop this segregation and separation stuff. Y'all know what I say about James Brown, right? The singer. Y'all know what I say. I don't want nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door and I get it myself. You don't need that kind of stuff. You need to be mixed in my opinion. If you're going to go to a majority school, I mean, you know. Let's see. However, to many people, these efforts that white schools make is still not enough. You'll see on every campus, there's, you know, a small cadre of professors and black students that feel that black students are oppressed. You know, I don't want you ever to feel you're oppressed if you're a student hearing this. I want you to feel like that's not you. You bad. You get ready to be successful, a successful student at your college. Let's talk about acceptance letters, getting back on point, and properly evaluating acceptance letters. Okay. Sometimes acceptance letters have early scholarships in there. They'll say, you're admitted, you have a scholarship of X dollars. First of all, read it carefully. Have somebody call me up and tell me, Deacon, I got a $60,000 scholarship. I said, oh, that's so nice. Is it per year? They said, yeah. And of course, I never heard of that. So I said, could you read the letter to me? And they read the letter to me and said, oh, yeah, it's for 4 years. It's $15,000 a year. And then I said, what do you need to do to keep it? And it said, you got to have a 3.5. Wow, that changed the feeling real quick, didn't it? So you got to read them. Yeah, definitely read those award letters carefully. Is it 4 years? You know, it could be $20,000 scholarship. Is it 4 years? It means it's $5,000 a year. And each year you'll be reevaluated for it. Just make sure you know what you're being awarded. Okay? But that could be all you'll receive. The scholarship might be all you're going to get from the school due to the income of your parents. If your income of your parents is high, then that merit award is all you're going to get. Private colleges many times will only give a merit award. You do not need, and that's because of income of the family. It depends on, remember I showed you that 1/3 rule. Depends on the income of the family. You do not need to await the financial aid award in those cases. You know what the award is going to be. Start thinking about it. And parents, I think the quicker you come to a conclusion about how much debt you're willing to take, that should bring to bear on, that should be shared with your student to help with the college decision. Okay? All right. Await notification from all your colleges. Once you get that award, just sit and wait for all your awards to come in and do the math on each one and figure out what the best offer is. Don't just get that big award and think, oh, this is the one I'm going to do. Wait for the other schools to roll in. They're going to be all different on merit awards. They're all over the ball-yard on merit awards. Okay? Comparing college costs. I gave us, if you need a spreadsheet that will help you to lay out your costs, just email me. I'll send you a link to a spreadsheet for it. Some of you already got it in a session I did a month ago. Comparing your college costs. How to tell what your college will cost. You start with the tuition and room and board. You subtract the total financial aid for 1 year. Then you subtract the parent loans. You subtract the work study. And that's how you get the total cost per year. Let's go through that again. You take the tuition, room, and board, what that cost is. Now, how do you find that out? You go to the website, you Google the name of the school, the total cost, 2022 to 23. You go there and you look at it, and you'll find tuition, you'll find room and board. Add those together, that's what's going to be on the bill. Then you subtract the total financial aid for 1 year. We covered these. We've taught how to read the financial aid award in another session. I'm just summarizing it here. You subtract the parent loans, you subtract the work study, and you get the total cost per year. And that's where you figure out how much parent loan you need, because it may be a lesser amount than you planned. Okay? Any questions on that? That should really help. That's like, and you want to compare them all the same way. Don't like on one school, you don't compare a certain thing. Another school you do. Don't bias schools in the subtraction. Okay.
Hi, Deacon Wilson.
Hi.
This is
This sounds like Octavia.
Yes, this is Octavia.
Are you stealing his computer?
Huh?
Are you stealing his computer?
Yeah, well, we're all listening.
Okay, go ahead.
On his, yes. So, question, what about the fees that, like the technology fee and the transportation fee and the activity fee? How do we properly calculate that? I mean,
that's a loaded question. All right. Now, first of all, I should have had on my list, I should have said tuition and fees. I did it wrong. Doggone it. Tuition and mandatory fees. Now, if you talk about Black school, all the fees are mandatory. Black school and CSU, they're all mandatory. So fees become a part of the direct cost. Now, how can you know what there will be? That's where the secret is. CSU and Black schools, they might tell you what last year was. They're deciding now what they're going to be. It's like an extra tax, right? Now, that's why I like UC. UC includes it all in that one number. But
is there a way that I can just get the total? I mean, can I email or talk to anybody? Will they disclose just like the complete cost with no games?
Well, I think they should, or will they? What's this question?
Can I email someone directly, or is that something that they really do not?
If it was Black school, I would email the bursar.
The bursar, okay.
You do the financial aid office, they'll play games with you. Ask the bursar, tell them I need to know. Here comes a big engineering word, sorry. I guess Zion might like it, I don't know. You need to know unambiguously.
Yes.
What the fees and tuition will be for your school for 2022 and 23. And don't let them send you to the website because it's not there on Black school.
Mm-hmm.
CSU don't all have them up. You need to tell them you need to know to make that decision, or we're not coming there. I bet you'll get it.
Yeah, okay.
Or they'll tell you when they'll have it. I think by March 15th, there's a federal law at work.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I would ask them now, though. The really good private schools will tell you now. For example, I think Howard will tell you now.
Oh, Howard is. Okay.
Yeah, I know. You got to get on the phone. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you pay. Never mind. I'm leaving alone.
Mm-hmm. And Hampton's almost.
Forget it.
Hampton's almost as bad as Howard right about now.
I'm not going to say what I want to say about that, but
okay.
Keep my mouth.
Thank you. Carry on.
I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
Right.
What's that thing your mother used to tell you? If you can't say something nice, don't say it at all. Right? It's a problem, parents. Hope you heard that exchange, parents. That's a problem. But you can know approximately what it'll be. Get a hold of me. Like CSU is supposed to be $6,600 in tuition, but all of them have campus unique fees, and that's what changes every year. I think one of them ends up being $8,000 a year because there's $14,000 in campus unique fees. I don't know. All right, I hope that helps. How much will you pay in the net direct cost? All right, let's talk about how you will pay. This is different than how much you will pay. Now, how are you going to pay for it? You know that amount? You know it's going to be $26,000 for 1 year, $16,000 for 1 year, $8,000 for 1 year, $9,000 for 1 year. How do you pay for it? Well, one way is your operating cash. Now, if you're already paying for high school, then you already have a clue of how much cash you can pay each year, don't you? You've got a clue. I mean, you may not want to admit that, but you do. If you're paying $12,000 a year tuition, that's a clue. So now I have to figure out the rest of it, how you would do it. You can take loans against your 403B or 401k. Okay, that's not against retirement. That's a savings plan for your retirement. You can take loans against it and they can be no interest because you're paying back yourself every paycheck. You remember? They can arrange it so that your part of your payment goes toward your loan. You never notice. You can do that each year too. You can have retirement fund withdrawals. I recommend against those. It's a taxable event. Relatives, I highly advise against. I'd rather do loans against 403B and 401k than have a relative help, because a lot of times relatives will expect some kind of control over your student. I highly advise against it. They can help with indirect costs. That's fine. But in my history, I've seen that not go too well. Major reductions in your home cost. That's a good thing. If you can, because your student's going away to school, maybe you can use their room for office. Oops, I shouldn't have said that. Or maybe there's some change in the way the house can run. Maybe you can downsize in some way. So, you can still have a room, but you cut down the size of your home. You move or you sell. Seen people do that, or you move. Major reductions in home costs and or your income. You can find a way to easily you can find a way to easily increase your income. That's not going to cause you a lot of hassle. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so those are the ways you can raise the capital to pay. Now, my parents have come up with some very creative ways to pay on their loans. And these are the major ones, though, that I've seen where they figure out ways to raise capital for their loans. Okay. One family I know, they sold one of their cars, right, to pay for the first semester. Parent loan for undergraduate students should be the absolute last resort. You can take a loan out on your students. We've covered the parent loan in several sessions. If you want, I can send you a table of the parent loan I had from a previous session. And there's a couple of videos on how to read the financial aid award and figure out where your plus loan is. And even about loans, I think I have a separate video, but just email me. I'll be glad to send you a video about those things. Additional student direct loan when the plus loan is denied. If a parent loan is denied, the student gets an additional direct loan for no interest of $4,000. That may or may not be enough. I mean, if you were going to get a parent loan for $10,000 to cover school and you're turned down, which it is a regular commercial credit check. If you're turned down, the student will get $4,000. You still have to come up with $6,000 for school. But that sure is a lot easier than $10,000. Oh, is there any questions there that I should know about in the chat, or you guys can also speak them out to if you want?
There's just a comment in the.
Let me go ahead and address that. Half of all Stanford undergraduates receive. Hey, by the way, they have to get it. Okay, but they have to get into Stanford first, is my comment. And the other thing is, I know plenty of parents of students who did not get it and were less than the 150,000. Actually, it was less. It's about 120 last year. But anyway, let's say it's 150, Luke. I had several parents who didn't get that. And the reason they didn't get that was because they put them on the wait list first. Then they admitted them. Okay.
Well, there might be a student that's been admitted. We're just waiting on a financial
But we don't
award.
know yet. You know how I act this time of year.
Right.
I'm from the show me state, everybody. I'm from Missouri this month, the show me state.
That's correct. And those are the ones that I submitted. So Farron has already gotten some offers as well. We're now just dealing with the financial.
Well, you mean got admitted, not offers something. I mean admitted.
Yes.
I didn't hear that yet.
It's only a couple that she wants, though.
Oh, well, you haven't told me about the minutes. We can talk offline. Okay. Very, very good. Things to remember about the parent loan. Okay. About the parent loan. Remember, you have to do it for 4 to 5 years. There's a plus loan table you can ask me about. I'll be glad to get it to you. I did not include it in this presentation because it's been presented several times. Let me know. I'll send you the loan table for this year. It's out now. It's interest rate. I say here interest of 7 to 8%. Because of inflation, the interest is now at 7.6% for a plus loan. You might have heard that the Fed is raising the interest rates to try to slow down inflation, because inflation is running away right now. If you bought gas lately, you know that. Commercial credit check each year. There will be a commercial credit check. And then I have listed the rejection criteria: bankruptcy, mortgage default, tax lien, repossession, or 2,085 plus of delinquencies. It might get smaller each year, your parent loan, because it depends on your youth, the kind of things they do. And I will be covering in sessions, there are about 17 things that youth can do years 2, 3, and 4. Some of those could significantly reduce your parent loan. So keep that in mind. These sessions will have great value if you're going to take out a parent loan. I would require my students to be present. If there's going to be a parent loan taken out that's going to affect your future, you should require them to be in these sessions. I don't have them every week, but when I do have them, it will help them. Okay, attend without visiting? No. What about virtual visits? People ask that this time of year. I did a virtual visit. No, still the same answer. A campus is the people and the organizations, not the buildings and not the reputation. I had too many students this year. By the way, this view graph is 3 years old. And I looked at that today when I realized you were all going to see it. And I realized I have the count as 7. I had 7 students who graduated last year who went to their schools for 1 semester and stayed home at Christmas. And in each case, they did not visit the school because of COVID. If you don't visit, and I'll explain why. There's a reason why. I've actually thought about why that happens. Please do not visit, do not attend the school without a campus visit. Which one of the things that I find difficult is, like, we're going to go on a spate of visits now. And I know that there's some students that if I could just get them to visit a school or come see a panel of students or just somehow connect with the school, they would save their parents $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And I don't know what to do when that happens. Just remember this bullet. You have to connect with your school. A school is people and organizations, not buildings. One year I had a student that just met a bunch of my students who went there before to the school, right? And visit with professors on the phone and got to know some that way. And they talked to current students over and over again. And they couldn't visit. They went to the school, graduated in 3 years, and they're doing great. So that proved to me that a campus is people and organizations, not the buildings. But normally people don't get that kind of connection. They're just sitting and they're wondering about the school. There's not a lot of students. I had this person talk with 10 students in my program from the school. When you visit a school, here's the reason here. And I talked to our church counselor about this. You get emotional. When you visit a school, this goes on, whether you know it or not. When you say, "Ooh, I really like this school," you get emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically committed to a school. My goodness, you're going to make that school work. So the first time there's any adversity on the campus, there's any kind of adversity with attending the school, you get just totally excited about the school. You're so excited that when these adversities come up, boom, you overcome them. When you visit a school, you get connected. But if you never visit it and something comes up, you kind of like, well, I didn't really pick it. I didn't know what it was like. You have an out, and psychologically you feel if you have an out, it's harder to make it work. Some colleges will give you till June 1st to decide, but check with the admissions office. Remember, at other schools may still use the May 1st. Like if you call up, they say, okay, we'll let you delay to June 1st. But you remember the other schools have to agree to wait till June 1st too. So I don't like extensions, okay? I do not like extensions because the school is trying to trap you to go to their school. Only wait if you're willing to travel to a school. Like, well, I'll wait, but I'll travel to the school. Maybe that'll work. But you remember, you can't speak for the other schools. You may have to deposit and spend a lot of money just to keep that other school alive. It's a tough thing. But don't attend a school without visiting. I really advise against it. Now, only visit schools which you can afford. Visit colleges when they're open. So say it's a school you can afford, but visit when they're open. Don't visit schools when the students are not there. The most popular time that people want to visit schools are on spring break. And right now, this year, the spring break and Easter are pretty close to each other, or right on top. Spring breaks at campuses are very close to Easter this year because of the calendar. I really, really, really don't think, it's not always true that during your spring break, it's a good time to visit. What if it's their spring break? Now you're visiting a college where there's no students present. Remember, colleges are people. Visit the school when there are people present. Only attend the college you have visited and the ones that you can afford. Here's the organizations you should see during your tour. And these are not on the regular college tour. The college tour person will not, they might mention these areas, but it's nothing like visiting them in person. Usually you'll have your tour in the morning, and then after lunch is when you go visit these places. If your airplane doesn't leave till evening, like what I usually do. Career services, leadership development, learning support services, the academic services, student services, honors college, academic department. You may not get to all these, but you may get to some of these things. These are places you should visit during your tour to meet the people. Are the people nice? Are they open? When you say you're a prospective student, they should jump right to you and tell you everything they know. Visit the area around the college. Is the neighborhood safe enough? What precautions we have to take? If maybe it is safe, cool. You will not visit all your colleges, but visit as many as you can. It probably will only be 2 or 3. And some of you had school lists, no matter, that should be no matter. Some of you might have had 20, 25 schools on your list, but you can only deliver 2 or 3, which brings up the question of how you decide where you visit. And it's very difficult when there's a lot of colleges. So maybe you want to talk to me and be very close to me during that period. Allow 2 weeks, your travel to be 2 weeks prior to air ticket purchase. Allow 2 weeks prior for air ticket purchase. So if you know you're going to be visiting a school in the middle of April, you need to buy your tickets, by end of March, right? Okay, right now I've already tied up tickets for the Sonoma trip. I've already tied them up with Southwest and frozen the price, which is really important with the gas prices right now being so high. Air travel is going to be way more expensive this year. Plan to attend the orientation on the campus. It's usually mandatory for youth and oft-times parents. Usually the cost is $200 to $400. Yeah, they charge you. They charge for the parent one and the youth one. It's usually $200 to $400 plus travel. Registration for classes begins usually at orientation. They show you how to register and how to do all that. We'll have sessions on that too here. Advisors and departments are visited at that time. The student is usually overnight on the campus during that period. Okay? Any questions on that? Everybody cool? All right, this is the duplicate slide. All right, initial cost for college. Not covered by the financial aid award. There are several costs for college that are not covered by financial aid. Your financial aid will fund the day, 24 hours after your student sits in the seat. So theoretically, the bill will show like you owe thousands of dollars, and they sit in the seat and it goes down to nothing if the financial aid covers it. But some schools require you to make deposits even before school, or there's just normal costs of being a student at the school that occur after they accept. For example, the admission deposit is usually $0 to $800. It's $0 to $800. It's usually $200 to $300, and it's non-refundable. It's not a refundable deposit when you deposit for admission, but it counts against your balance. One school, I think it's GW, I think Stanford too. It's either Stanford. I think it's Stanford. You make the deposit for admission, and I don't care if you have a Pell Grant, you make that deposit. But when you make that deposit, they don't charge you, they don't bill you for the rest of the year until the actual housing bills start coming in, right? They're not going to harass you at all until October or November, but they get that $800 up front. The housing deposit's usually going to be $250 to $1,800. There's rare schools where you don't have an admissions deposit. You just have a housing deposit, or it's a very small admission deposit. I think that's true with Boise State, Nevada, Reno, and Grand Canyon. There's no admissions deposit. You just pay the housing deposit. Yes, I've seen housing deposits of up to $1,800, particularly San Francisco State University in that area of the country, San Jose. they have a very large admission housing deposit. The housing deposit usually is refundable. There's a holdback for about $50 to $200. You get the rest back. Orientation costs are $200 to $400 or $500. I think $200 to $500 at some of the Eastern schools, plus the travel costs. And this stuff is not covered by financial aid. And here's the one I was telling you about a minute ago. The first 2 months of rent, the cost varies, are not covered by the financial aid. There are CSUs that will give you a break if you have a Pell Grant, if you have need basis. But a lot of schools make you pay a couple months of rent before you even start the school. CSUs will allow reduced income families to waive. Okay? Any questions on that? Any question out there, Quinn?
Yes. Zion asked, does a deposit go towards your tuition?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then there's another comment in the chat if you want to take a look.
I'll take a look. Thank you. Right. That's what I just said. Correct. It applies toward the tuition. Okay. Okay, let's continue on. All schools are different, though. It's kind of weird how that is. Let's talk a minute or two about FAFSA verification. Some of you will have to go through the process. In fact, a lot of you I'm sitting here, I'm seeing, will have to go through verification, or they won't let you start the enrollment process, right? Usually for 2020, adjusted gross of 48,000 below, you're going to go through FAFSA verification. It consists of two parts: proof of income plus completion of a dependent verification worksheet. The IRS 2020 tax return retrieval into the FAFSA or the federal tax transcript. Now, if I filed your FAFSA and I've told you to order your tax transcript, it's because I couldn't retrieve it. Like a lot of you, I called you, say, hey, I did your FAFSA, but you're going to have to request the transcript. Call 1-800, there's a number. Got the number right there for you. And you order it. If you're in doubt, order it anyway. I think I told everybody to order it not too long ago. Order it, just put it away, because you could have a random verification too. There are random verifications of people who make more than 48,000. They just want to verify the income that you had on the FAFSA. Watch your portals for the verification requirement. I'm going to have to make a video. I know Christina's not here. We're going to, Quinn, could you remember to write this down as an action item for me? I need to make a video of how to look at the student center, how to find the financial aid award. Could you remind me of that? You know how you got that reminder list for me?
Yeah.
I know I'm not doing my stuff on my list. I know. I think I am though, right? Sort of. I guess that's a maybe. Verification comes after you select the college in most cases. Sometimes it comes before, sometimes it comes beforehand, but oftentimes it comes after the selection of the college. Okay. Okay. All right, let's talk about, let me see here. Got to just clear it off here. Just a few affordability reminders. For family incomes of less than 50,000, CSU is very affordable. It's 1,000 to 6,000 per year. And the more below 50,000, the better it is, right? All the way down to 30, where you pay about $1,000 per year, which is about $90 per month. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm getting a little help on the sunshine. I have a funny feeling things just happen around here sometimes. It's actually not that window. It's the door. You'll never get it. It'll never work. Reason why it's the door is because this time of year, the earth is tilted. Never mind, I won't get into this. Get it up. Yeah, but you need a chair. I know. For family incomes less than 50,000, CSU is very affordable. Have a good reason to pay that much. That's right. Very good advice I'm giving. And the reason I put that there is, let's suppose you get into a CSU, get into 4 CSUs, and then you get into a school where you're going to owe 40,000, 30,000 a year, even for your lower income. You need to have a really good reason to move away from not paying hardly anything to paying 30,000 a year. And I think the reason has to be a little bit better than I need to have the Black experience, or or you may have other reasons too, but have a really good reason and really, really understand your reason. Sometimes there's no reason, and that's why this bullet's here. There's an article I wrote on this. You can click on this link. If you get the presentation, you can just control click on the link and you'll be able to go right to it. Or just go to my website, look under articles. You'll find it there. Be careful, honey. Okay. Due to the way the news about race has now been reported, there's heightened pressure to send your youth to an HBCU. That's fine. Just be careful about cost, just like you would with a predominantly white institution to account up the cost. Just be sure you have a plan for handling the debt. That's all I want to say this year about that. Wait for all your awards before you make your family decision. Please visit a school before you agree with your family to attend the school. Please visit. See me, I'm reminding about visiting. Oh, wow, I was saved. There's a little tiny fleck of sun will be gone in 2 seconds. That was a great job, honey. My wife came in here and saved me from the sunlight, you guys. How did you know you watched on that? That was the last slide, by the way. All right, so that is my last slide. Let's see if there's any additional questions. Gosh, I finished on time. I actually wanted to finish this thing at about this time. Any questions? That leaves us 13 minutes for questions. Anybody? No? Just shout them right out. Let's see. In the financial aid award package, what is the full cost of attendance? That's interesting. That's a very, she does that all the time, Sister Yolanda. What a good question. It gives me an excuse to say, this is unbelievable, Sister Woodard, but colleges don't always say the cost on the financial aid award. They don't tell you. So your only solution, it's like they're telling you what they're going to give you in financial aid, but won't tell you what the school costs. You follow me? So now I think you should go to the school's website and look at the cost yourself. And that's why the conversation with Sister Octavia Relaford was such a good conversation, because she's realizing that they're not telling her anywhere. And she wants to know who to call. And I know that in the case of Black schools and some CSUs, it's not being posted. It's like 2 years old or whatever. That's what she's really knocking at, I think. And so Sister Woodard, that's a good question. Now, a school like Stanford, a school like the schools you have, I expect to go to the website, you'll see it. But even they're not telling you. USC's financial aid award, when you get it, will not tell you what USC costs. Isn't that a shame? I didn't really answer your question, but I think I did. Okay. Yeah, they should. They should. Hey, by the way, I even go further than that, Sister Wood. She said the financial aid should give it to you. I go a step further than that. I think it's a violation of federal law. I think Title IV says they have to make it public. I really think school, every time I get to this time of year, Sister Yolanda, I think about writing to my congressperson. This is really not right. Now, there are some schools, thank you, Sister Woodard. There are some schools, Sister Woodard and everybody, that give the best financial aid awards I ever saw, where they have the cost of attendance broke down. They bad. There's some really good ones out there. I like Sonoma State's. I like Bakersfield's. I like Loma. I like most of the CSUs. There's a couple of them I don't even look like it comes from CSU. I like Seattle Pacific. I like Grand Canyons. There's a lot of them that I like, but there's a few that I do not like. I didn't answer your question, but you get my point. Anybody else? That's why I say follow my slide that I had where I told you exactly how to get it. Go in that presentation. I have a slide where you started with the total cost, and I showed you systematically how to do it. I think you just have to do it organically and do it yourself. You'll have the financial aid award in front of you. Anybody else? All right, well, I want to thank you. I actually have another meeting I'm doing at 5:30 on CSU. Y'all are too old to need it. As seniors, y'all don't need no what is CSU presentation. You had that a year ago. but I'm doing it for the lower grades because this is CSU Super Sunday. More than half of our students have gone to CSU and had great productive lives and careers. There's nothing wrong with it at all. So we had CSU Super Sunday that we're emphasizing these last 2 weeks at our church. So we're having a presentation night. I want to thank you all for coming. I'm going to give a couple of people shout outs. You know, I get here. Sister Allison. Oh, I'm sorry. Good. Who is this?
Marva. I'm sorry. I'm on the phone. I didn't know how to unmute myself.
That's okay, Marva. Just talk right out.
Okay, so we received a financial aid notification from a school, but it didn't give us the amount of the financial aid.
Oh, wait. It didn't give the cost of the school or the amount of the aid?
The amount of the aid. It just have how much it is for the year and the total student loan offer.
Oh. You ready for my answer? Are you ready for my answer?
Yes, I want to know.
Are you sitting down?
I think I know your answer.
Your award is the loans.
Okay.
And I can ask you one question. I'm just going to make a statement, and you'll know why I said it, okay? So I'll make a statement.
Okay.
I'll say it to everybody because I don't want to like talk to you about it in front of everybody, but I'll make a statement. So parents, if you're like a normal Southern Californian family, and you're making $100,000 to $200,000 and barely holding on like all us, like a lot of people are, right? Like a lot of people. The colleges will assume that you don't need any financial aid. It's the way it goes. You don't need no aid. So they just offer you loans. But now, if you find you're below that and they're saying loans, I guess I want to talk to you offline. That's what I'll say to that to everybody, okay? All right, who else got to give a shout out to? Sister Allison, I see you're here. How you doing?
I'm blessed, Deacon Wilson. So happy to be here. Thank you for this, as always, valuable information.
A lot about you and your husband.
You all still have to get together for that golf game.
But what now? What game would you say?
The golf.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You know what? Tell your husband that he's the kind of person that even though I don't golf, I like to golf with him.
Okay.
You know, have you ever met someone that you haven't met them, but you know you'd be cool with them?
Yes.
That's the way I feel about him.
We got to get you two connected.
Yeah, we got to do that soon, too.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm just so proud. I know you're proud of your daughter.
I am very proud, very grateful. It's been quite a journey.
Yeah. Good stuff. Let me know if I can help any way in the process.
Well, I got another one coming behind her.
Yeah, I know you told me. I remember that.
We'll start early with her.
That's a 10th grader, right?
No, she's starting 9th grade. She's just entering.
Oh, she's younger than that. Oh, yeah. I should be around for that.
Okay.
I'm at the end of my career. You know that, right?
Oh, don't say that. You got 4 more years. You got to hang on.
See how people do me? See how people do me, y'all? She told me I had to work 4 more years. Okay. All right. Good seeing you here. I see someone else here that I want to say something to. Oh, Sister Latina, I already said something to her. Ian. Hi, Ian. How you doing, Ian?
Good, Deek. Good, Deek.
Hey, y'all, I have to tell y'all something this year. I know Zion's here, Ian's here, the rest of them are here. Oh, Brian's here too. This year we have the most outstanding group of young Black males and Hispanic males I've ever seen. These guys are bad. I mean, they bad. And most of them not even here today, but they bad. Young ladies are good. They're always tight. But these young men, the last 2 years, especially this year, these young men are on it. I just want to make that comment. So I don't believe nothing. I always didn't believe it, but now I'm like, nowhere in society do I believe that our young men are oppressed.
Hey, Deacon, thank you for this so much.
All right, great. Okay, you're welcome. All right, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. Ian, I'm glad to see you today. And we'll talk again if we need to very soon, right?
For sure. Yes, just let me know.
hope we can make our little panel tomorrow night.
Monday, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
you know, I want you to be there so bad, man. Man, those
Yeah.
guys, Aaron wants to meet you so bad.
Okay.
You need to be there. Okay. The sister
sure.
Bradley can come too. We're not keeping her out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew she gonna say something. Okay. All right. And Sister Yolanda, you're on it like always. You're like you're ace. But I can't think of what to say. You're ace. You're Sister Yolanda. I don't know what to say. You're ace. You're bad. Whatever. You on it. Okay. Really.
Well, we have to talk. Thank you so much, Deacon. We have to talk. Farron, do you have some really great things going on? So we got to decide.
Well,
We're starting to look at money now.
Yeah, I saw all the emails.
Yeah, we're starting to look at the money.
All
That's
right.
my biggest concern is the cost.
But you know,
Hanford and USC, but
you know
we're
what
gonna make it work.
you know
We're
what-
gonna make it work.
you know what I'm gonna say to that?
I mean, that's what Seattle.
I think
Yeah, we gonna make it work, Deacon. You know
All right.
me. We'll do
Okay.
whatever it takes. It
All
will
right.
be one of those schools. So we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it